All right, this is Sci-Fi Express Lane. Jeff Carroll, writer, creator, all that good stuff, filmmaker, comic book, novels. And today I want to talk to you about the the black presence potential in manga and anime versus the potential in American comics, mainstream, indie, whatever you want to call it. It's real interesting. And I kind of picked up a little bit on this during my presence at this anime convention down here called Otaku Fest. And I just learned that otaku means nerd. So it was the Asian South Pacific Islanders Nerd Fest, because we were all nerding out on manga and anime, and that's really what it was for. And even though it was that, you saw a lot. You still saw your Superman, you still saw your Spider-Mans, you saw your Jason and Michael Myers cosplay, your Doctor Who. You know, these things are going to always exist because it was a nerd culture. Just like at a Comic-Con, you'll see the manga section. You know, you'll see people dressed up in anime characters. You know, your manga characters. So you'll still see that at a Comic-Con. So for me, I started to think when I was there that there seems to be a different potential in manga than it is in American comics, because that's what you have to say. You can't, because manga is everything. So to compare it to American comics, you can't just say superhero. You can't just say indie or mainstream. You can't say graphic novel, because manga is all of that, all in one. It just happens to be the Pacific Islanders picture books. You know what I'm saying? I saw mangas that were 150 pages, small versions for what would be a bigger manga book, which is like newspaper pages with a hardcover, front, back to front, with like 200-300 pages, and sometimes it was really just one panel. It's never really 1 to 3 panels. It's really never 6 panel or more page, and that was interesting to me. So I noticed a lot of different things. Now it's probably been my 5th Otaku Fest, but my books that are manga styled, I'm getting more of them now, and I have more to sell. So I'm reaching more to them. Like where American comic book market, you might be able to sell a novel. You're less likely to sell that at a manga, because manga is so inclusive. It has a lot of types of books already, and they're already out of the American culture. So it's rare. You're not going to see a one-piece American novel. You might not see it. I don't know. It may happen. These brands are so big. If they have a Death Note, a manga, American novel, that would be interesting. I gotta look and see if they have that, because these publishers find every way. These brands find every way to exploit the popularity of whatever the brand is that they have. So, as an indie creator who has a book coming out with an indie company, it's interesting because in American comic, it's interesting to think about the differences, because in America, it's hard to come out with a man with superpowers that's flying around, lightning breath, freezer breath, lightning eyes, freezer breath, able to lift a train. That's going to be looked at as a bootleg Superman. But to be honest, in manga, there's so many characters the similarities don't even get called out. You have to be a direct carbon copy of another character in manga for it to be called out. And the graphics, the graphics are there, but they don't look that important. Even, in the brands, there are brands, don't get me wrong. One Piece is a brand, Sailor Moon is a brand, Full Metal Alchemist, One Punch Man, all of those are brands, but they're not so brandy that it doesn't make room for other brands. You understand what I'm saying? Like, in going to an American comic book store, there's people that read nothing but Marvel and DC, and they have this thing called indie. And what is that? You know what I'm saying? In manga, it's just a different story. Now, do the brands have things that they promote? Of course. You got your Viz Media, you got your I forgot 7 Sales, I think. There's manga companies, you know what I'm saying? And many of the American manga companies do licensing, right, for a Japanese company. There's few companies, even in America, that write original American manga. I think Dark Horse may do that, but still, a lot of them, you gotta be careful because they are Japanese, Korean, illustrators and writers, and they have American editors that adapt the story to English. They just really translate it and translate anything that is of a different energy. So that's there. But the opportunity for a black creator is just getting the word out, because promoting it right, putting enough copies in stores. Now, I don't know how it is to get in stores, if it's any different than American books, but I know in terms of the buyer, you have to format it right. You format it. They don't really go by publishers. They don't really look at it like that. They don't go by writers as much. I mean, they know the writers and they know the publishers, but believe it, they go by the story. And that is really an equal playing field for writers of color in America to be on something where it's an equal playing field. Now, it is an international art form, so most of the illustrators are from another country. That's a difference, right? Being from another country, you got different rates. Sometimes those rates, more than not, they're more affordable than American illustrators. American illustrators charge a lot, whether they doing American style comics or manga style. They charge the same rate. But when you look at manga illustrators, and they can come from all over the world, because manga is just as popular as American comics. So you have illustrators from Africa, from Thailand, from South and Central America that draw manga style, and it's just as good as an American illustrator, so there's really no push because you're already doing a international style or book. So there's no push for you to do something that is made in America. No, you get anybody you want. Now, so the illustrations there, you just gotta pay for the printing. You gotta pay for that's it. You pay whatever your illustrators are, and you pay to have it printed here in America, which is a little bit higher, unless you're going to go out of the country to print. And you can save some money, but you got to print a higher quantity, and that's printed. But anyway, back to the differences of manga and American comics. The other thing is, there is no Spider-Man, there is no Batman. And when I say that, I'm not saying, of course there's Naruto, of course there's Pokemon, and various embedded characters, and they are who they are. You can't replace them with a black guy and not piss people off. However, within the stories, there are people of color that are maybe not as big as the star, but there are other books that have diverse casts. Now, you may run into American racism, which doesn't want to see a black person do anything, but it's not backlash from the manga perspective, because the stories are already multicultural as it is, and they're more multicultural than American comics, and many times they're set in a South Pacific place, so you're outside of a white majority. Now, do they have white looking characters? Yes, they do. The other thing is, that's only when they're in color, and that's the cover and very few books, because most of manga is black and white. So guess what? That's kind of race neutral, except for the cover, and if you don't put people on the cover, they may not know it's black, and that's a game changer for American comics, because if it's Luke Cage, you gotta put Luke Cage on the cover, and you know, you're limited to how many black characters you can have, because they got a mainstream and they got the internet, you know, the indie market. So, you know, it's not just character A. When manga is character A. This year we got Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay, that wasn't around 5 years ago, and it's just as popular as the ones that are out now. So you can easily do something like that, I think. So I'm about to embark on that journey to find out how easy it is for a black writer, black creator to create within the manga house, to see how it is to do that. I think it's a wonderful idea. When I was at the convention, the people that were there didn't have any more of a problem with your indie book than they did with the mainstream book. They didn't have a problem with your new title any more than anybody else did. So you're good, and that's a really different thing to be able to do. So I don't know. I know there's people that critique the black people in manga, and I think that's important to critique it. But trust me, it is not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? It's not a big deal for you to have a diverse cast, black cast, or just even black characters in manga, because manga is already diverse, and you're not going to get called, put in the section. Heck, even the censors are different. You know, American comics censor a lot. When it's in manga, they ain't censoring. You got to be totally pornographic for them to censor it. But blood, curses, that's a part of the manga game. You know, sex, it's part of the manga game. You got to be diagrammically descriptive when you're dealing with something that crosses a line in manga. So, I don't know. Let me just say it here. I do think the opportunities are different. May be better. I don't know, but I know they're different. So, yeah, check out my books. Give me maybe towards the end of the year to get my manga book out. But, yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing. All right. Jeff Carroll out. That's the Sci-Fi Express lane. So, remember, like, subscribe. I need to get my subscribers up. I think I'm only like 500 or 470. That's ridiculous. I have 5,000 friends on Facebook. You mean they tell me I can't get a tenth of them, you know, half to join on my YouTube? So anyway, like, subscribe, share, and comment. All right, I'm out of here.